In 1990, 1 year prior to the collapse of the former Soviet Union, I had the opportunity to preach in the National Stadium of the Republic of Moldova, which was one of the republics of the Soviet Union. And I went there, and this, as I said, was a year prior to the collapse of the Soviet Union, so this was a very unique moment in their history. They had never had anything like this. In fact, I was concerned whether we were going to have it because, you see, my testimony, one thing I didn't share, my testimony is a little different from some other evangelists in the fact that, a lot of times you hear an evangelist give his testimony and he says, I was a drug addict or I was in prison and then I met Jesus and everything's wonderful now. Well, my testimony is just the opposite. I had the opportunity to study in some of the great universities in our country and had a bright future ahead of me, and then I met Jesus, and I've been arrested 3 times since then, all for preaching the gospel. But I was arrested in Leningrad when there was a Leningrad. And I was arrested there for witnessing to some university students and sharing Christ with these students. And they told me I would have to write out a confession of my crime. And so I wrote out my confession, and it went something like this. Well, my crime began a number of years ago when a man told me about Jesus, that he was God come in human flesh, born of a virgin, conceived of the Holy Spirit, lived a sinless, perfect, holy life, died on a Roman cross, was buried in a borrowed tomb, arose from the grave on the 3rd day, ascended to the right hand of the Father, and sent his Spirit to dwell in all who would believe in him. And whoever's reading this confession, if you would like to know Christ, you can pray with me this prayer right here. And I wrote out a prayer for them to pray. Needless to say, it did not go over real big. And so when I was asked, and it was still the Soviet Union, to come back and preach in the National Stadium of the Republic of Moldova, I really didn't think they were going to give me permission to do that. And I told the church leaders, I said, there's 2 things I need. First, I need an official invitation from you. Secondly, I need an official invitation from the government. And I really didn't think the government would give me an invitation. And that day when we received that telex into our office, I couldn't believe it. We got out and I knelt and just gave God glory and thanked him for what he was done. We went there and no one knew what to expect. They had never had an evangelistic meeting. Stadium, thousands of people came that Sunday. It was broadcast nationally on television. And I'll never forget, a reporter, a journalist came up to me and asked me a question, and I thought it was a pretty perceptive question. She said this, she said, Mr. Tippett, do you really think that people's lives are going to be changed by you standing on a platform and saying some words? Now you think about that. That's a pretty good question. Especially if you grew up in an atheist country. I mean, you're going to get up there and speak and you really think something's going to change. And I looked at her and I said, yes, ma'am. I am convinced 100% that lives are going to be changed. Not because I'm speaking, not because I'm a good orator, not because of any of those things, but for one reason, the power of the message that I am going to speak has supernatural abilities. And it will penetrate the hearts of people, and it will transform the lives of people. And I want to tell you what, there is power in the message of the cross.